Good morning, energetic group. Wow, I'm feeling that incredible vibrance of life that's flowing from each shining soul here, and the energy of those who are joining us wherever you are in this world. We know that there is a connection beneath the surface. And within that connection that weaves us all together is a power that we just might call love. And that love is flowing to us and through us so incredibly, beautifully, and bright. So let it shine now. And know that as you shine that light of love, you are loved.
With love as boundless as the sea, my love for you is like a rose, unfolding love eternally. You are loved, my precious child. My love light shines in every star. You are loved, you are loved, you are loved.
We take this time to experience the blessing of our youth, some of them taller than others. So let us raise our hands if you want to join us in this, to feel that energy of love and light flowing. And let us say from our hearts, we love you. We bless you. And we see your divine light shining. Now go and fix the problems that all us adults created in this world.
Hosanna.
I share your moments every day. You are guided, precious child. as you seek my voice within. You are love. You are love. You are love.
You are loved. With that thought in mind, let us continue that journey inward to the altar of our hearts, to open with prayer, to open to that awareness of who we are as beloved children of God, knowing that we are guided as we continue this season of Lent, starting today with Holy Week, Palm Sunday. Lent, a time of letting go, a time of renewal, resilience, renewed life, honoring all that spring brings to us. As we stop and reflect, what else can I let go of that is not serving me anymore? Thank it, whatever it is, for whatever reason it was in your life. It has served you, and now it's time to bid it farewell and open to the new, the better, the bigger, the more sacred. For this opportunity for renewal and resilience, we are truly grateful, and so it is. Amen. Well, good morning. Happy spring and happy Palm Sunday. And if I'm sniveling and sneezing, I don't have a cold. I think everything out there is in bloom, especially on my block. So allergy season is upon us. If anybody is with us for the very first time today, I hope you've received a welcome packet, and if not, the ushers are ready to bring you one. Is anyone brand new with us today? I see a bunch of hands. Wonderful. Welcome. We hope that you will join us after the service. There's a table in the fellowship hall directly in that direction, and there you will find a table with a tablecloth of sunflowers. That's our welcome table. So we hope to welcome you there so we can greet you and get to know you. There's a name tag on the front of your packet. If you'd write your name on there, that'll help us to get to know you. And we have Dick Everett with us this morning, who would love to light the candle for us.
Thank you. It came to mind this morning as I was at home. I have a little candle that I put on my table in the living room. That's where I have breakfast. And I was reminded that you are the light of the world. Now, we've all heard that, of course. Jesus said it. He also said, let your light so shine before men and women that they can see your good works. Don't hide it under a bushel. I'd like to dedicate the light that I'm about to light over here as something that is within you and me. and think about throughout your day, how can I let the light that I am shine? Every occasion along the way, okay, God, tell me how to let my light shine here. I don't know how to do that. You'll get answers. It might be as easy as a smile. But our planet, our world needs our light tremendously right now, more than ever. And we got it. We can't depend on all those others out there to fix it for us. We're the light of the world. So I suggest that I am the light of the world. Would you affirm that with me? I am the light of the world. Yeah, don't ever forget it, because no one else is going to do it for us.
Thank you, Dick. And my gratitude to all of you who've been holding me in prayer. Most of you know that I fell on January 15th on the ice, fractured my pelvis. Now I know what happened, finally, after the right CT scan. And I appreciate all your prayers that have been supporting me and lifting me up. And now, Donovan.
Thank you. Good morning. I wasn't here last week, and Gina did announcements, and I watched it, and it was wonderful. It really made me laugh. She pulled a stool up here so she'd be taller, because people would go through withdrawals, if I'm not here. Not really, but I'm just kidding. That was great. It really made me happy. Okay, and welcome to you and to everyone watching on our live stream. These are the announcements for March 24th. Palm Sunday. Okay, please be sure that your cell phones are on silent mode so they don't ring during the service. So if you're not sure, you can take a moment to check now and silence them, please. Okay, be sure to check out our website at unityofthevalley.org. You'll find March's bulletin and much more there. Prayer requests. If you're in need of prayer for yourself, a loved one, a friend, whomever, you can place a prayer card in the prayer box in the foyer after the service, and that's right out there in the corner, and there's some little cards and pencils. And if you're not here, you can communicate with, call or text Julia, and her info's on the screen if you want to take a moment to write that down or memorize it. All righty. Tuesday, 7 p.m., the Behind the Lens seminar movie for Tuesday is Rashomon. Let's see. Oh, they always have such cool pictures. Oh, Akira Kurosawa's. Anybody seen that one? Yeah? And I can't do my line about, well, then you better come see it. But you should still come see it on Tuesday. Those are great, and it'll be a lot of fun to come see. And then Tom and Blank will follow up the movie with a Q&A session. It's real interesting. It's $30 for the series or $5 each time. Wednesday, Unity Grief Support Group, facilitated by Reverend Inga. They meet in the Garden Room from 4 to 5 p.m. For more information, contact Reverend Inga. Youth and Family Fun Night is also on Wednesday in the Garden Room from 6:30 to 8 p.m., calling all adults with children to join us for Easter Bingo, a visit from the Easter Bunny, and food too. Will there be food for the Easter Bunny? I don't know why I'm looking at Laura. Laura, are you providing carrots from your garden? Okay. I've gotten carrots out of your garden before. They're good. Free, but donations are welcome. Please RSVP to Alice, and it says point to screen, but maybe we're on it. There we go. And that's Alice's number up there if you want to write it down. Hey, that sounds like fun. Next Sunday, Easter Sunday, Finding the Beauty and Higher Purpose in Life's Struggles with Reverend Inga and John West. Wednesday, April 3rd, Chanting and Meditation in the Sanctuary, 7 to 8 p.m. with John West and Stephen Parsons. Come and open to the infinite spirit within through the timeless practice of chanting our way into deep meditation. And then Thursday, Parents Empowered by Connecting Group meets in the Garden Room, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Check out today's handout for more information. And Gina printed this in a larger font, so now we have 2 pages, but don't panic, it's just a larger font. Saturday, April 6th. Ooh, cool. Sacred Women's Circle, 10:30 a.m. to noon. Calling all women to join Gina in the upstairs Fillmore wing for connecting, meditating, and doing a fun project that incorporates April's theme, which is enchanting our sacred journey, and that's free. And then Thursdays, April 18th through May 9th, Living Unity Principles with John West, Zoom class only. 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. This is our introductory course for newcomers and those who would like to go deeper than we do on a Sunday. Sign up in the fellowship hall. So that's all I have.
Good.
I tell you, I get no respect.
If you'd like to rise and stretch and join us for the sing-along. And many of you are familiar with this, but if you aren't, I'll just teach you the melody pretty quick. It goes like this. Oh, this human race we can see is changing the world from space. Let's try that. Oh, this human race we can see is changing the world from space. And the next line has the same melody. And the chorus goes like this. Shape the world with our love, with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. Try it. Shape the world with our love, with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. Well, now you've learned the song, so let's start it.
See us changing the world from space. God gave us this gift. Maybe we can make this a better place. Shape the world with our love, with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. Shape the world with our love, with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. Oh, this modern age, competition, opposition's all the rage. Why not live in peace? Here's a simple way we can turn the page. Shape the world with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. Shape the world with our love, with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. See a part of me in every face. God gave us this world. Each of us can make it a better place. Shape the world with our love, with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. Shape the world with our love, with our love. Shape the world with our love, and our cup will run over. Shape the world.
Oh yeah, give each other a hand.
Not quite. There it is. There we go. All right, let's go internally now to shape our world together. Palm Sunday. Green palm branches waving, held by people who cared enough to support the person that represented the spirit of the one in those days long ago. Sign of triumph, sign of glory, sign of recognition of the spirit of the one in human form. And so it is for us today. Think of that scene for a moment, if you can picture it, and then bless that day of remembrance as you bring yourself forward into this time, into this room, into this chair, and into your beingness. Knowing that in the palm of your hand is the world. In the palm of your hand is your world, blessed by the one that has blessed the world since the beginning of time. Feel your palm, maybe bend your fingers a little bit, and just feel that palm of your hand. Think of all that it does. Think of all that it holds and all that it touches. What a gift to be able to hold the world in the palms of our hand. You too, all of us are held in the palm of the hand of the one. That powerful and holy and precious spirit that says, you are the light of the world, you are my all, you are my hands, my feet, you are my vessel for love, you are my vessel for sharing, you are, because I am, you are, and because you are, I am also. Together we shape the world. Together we feel the blessings of the world. Together we receive love. For that is what I am, and you are my beloved child, my beloved being. In the palm of your hand you hold the world. My world, your world, our world. Our role in this circle of eternity is to be just that, eternally one, eternally together, eternally rejoicing in being part of the holiness of life. Focus again on the palm of your personal hand and think of what it might look like. It has lines, it has fingers around it. It is capable of folding and unfolding. It is capable of holding and unfolding and releasing, just as we are capable of enfolding the Holy Spirit within us and then releasing it out through our love and our gifts and our talents out into the world. If you are comfortable, hold your own hands now. Put them together, palm to palm, as we go into a moment of silence, and the music supports us in that. Hand upon hand, palm to palm, heart to heart. And now physically take those hands, and with the palms up, even if you just do it in your mind, and release the knowing that these palms are blessed in their giving, in their receiving, in their loving, and just in their beingness. Just as we are blessed in the giving, the receiving, the sharing, and the love that brought us here at this time to do what is to be done by us. Sweet Spirit, we give thanks for that event in history that made us aware once again of the role that we still continue to play and can now in entering into the glorious city of our being to share our love, to share our caring compassion and our joy on this Sunday of remembrance and for always. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for this day and for your love and for this life. And so it is. Amen. Say it to yourself softly. Amen.
Wondering which way I should turn. No way behind me, darkness before for answers. To you I turn. You say, go into life, let go, walk into the night. Night can seem such a dark and scary place where you don't want to go. But night is also filled with dreams and beauty, gentle moonlight from above. That path is shining, calling to you. Start this journey into the night with black velvet skies and sparkling stars and a path leading into the night. Once you find that path before you, leading you onward into the night, find your courage, breathe in deeply, take that first step into your new life, go into life, let go into life, let go, walk into the night.
I actually wrote that song when it was, thank you. I just tell you that because there's a lot of personal things that are going to go on in this talk today, so I wanted to put mine out there on the table. That was a really hard time in my life, really, really hard, many, many years ago. But I'm here now and I'm really happy. So, thank you. I'm especially honored to have Catherine, who's expecting her baby any day now, to sing that song. So today I'd like to explore the idea of resilience. How can we regain our balance, keep our hearts open, keep our hope and our faith alive, even if the world just seems to be going, or falling apart, I should say, around us? And since today is Palm Sunday, I suppose I'm going to have to weave that story into the mix of what I'm going to talk about. But first, I feel the need to say a few words. Since I'm going to be talking about the Bible and Jesus, I want to say a few words about organized religion and how unity fits into that picture from my understanding. I recently heard a story from somebody, and it really shook me out of my comfort zone. This is something I had heard about happening, but I hadn't really talked to anybody that had gone through it. This beautiful person had grown up in a church, just believing with all her heart, feeling so close to God and so happy to be there, part of that organized religion. But one day she opened up and she shared a fundamental truth about herself, a very personal truth about her identity. And that whole church world began to crumble for her. At first, the church tried to shame her into changing, as if she could change something like her identity. And when they realized that she wasn't going to do that she wouldn't change, they actually kicked her out and they locked the door behind her and wouldn't let her come back. She was devastated, of course, and it took her just such a long time before she could even consider coming back through the doors of any kind of religious or spiritual establishment. Well, you darn well better believe she's welcome here. When people ask me about unity, especially people that don't know about unity, I usually say, we're an inclusive, loving community that honors all faith traditions, because we believe there are many, many paths to the top of that mountain. We think of ourselves more as spiritual rather than religious, just because all the baggage that goes with that word religious. That sits really well with me, because so many people, like my friend, have been ostracized, rejected, traumatized, condemned within the realms of organized religion, not to mention the death and the destruction caused by wars fought in the name of God. What a tragedy, what a crazy tragedy that is. So Unity of the Valley here is more of a spiritual center than a church, but we are also a part of Unity Worldwide Ministries. And Unity does have its roots in Christianity. It's not the same kind of Christianity necessarily that you might think of immediately when you hear that word. It's open-minded, positive, practical Christianity. But this kind of poses a little conundrum, because so many people just get triggered when they hear the word Christianity and they equate it with modern Christian fundamentalism and everything that goes with that. This is a really hard topic, and I usually avoid it at all costs. But as I have some family members and friends I love so much, and they really, really believe the fundamentalist Christian thing, and I guess I didn't want to disappoint them or cause a conflict, so I just don't talk about it. But as many of you know, I am now enrolled in ministerial, or I should say it this way. I'm part of Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute. I am taking my prerequisites to go officially into ministerial school. And thank you. I'm really excited about that. I'm doing this to stay here. I'm not doing this to go away, that's for sure, because I love it here. But I have been steeped in readings and studying more than I've done in years and years and years. But I'm also gaining some clarity on how to express my own truth. So I'm going to just take a deep breath, and I'm going to go into that night. I'm going to dive into the deep end here and talk about Jesus and maybe how he dealt with walking into that night. And if you're someone that has been traumatized by organized religion or Christianity, I just ask you, please just stay with me for just a little bit. In the last week of his life, Jesus traveled with his disciples to the city of Jerusalem during the Jewish celebration of Passover. Now, the city was crammed full of people that had made this pilgrimage, and it was basically to celebrate the Hebrews' liberation from slavery in Egypt. So everybody comes to the homeland, and the atmosphere was actually quite festive, and spirits and energy were really, really high with all these people in town. And people had heard of Jesus, a lot of people had. And crowds of people gathered to welcome him, just like Sherry Lady mentioned in her meditation. And they kind of had this idea in their minds that he was this Messiah that was going to deliver them from their modern day oppressors, the Romans. And they cheered him on. And yes, they did wave those palm branches. And some of them even tore off their coats and threw them on the ground, kind of like rock star style, to pave his way. So I imagine that must have felt pretty good and been a joyous moment for Jesus. But even in that time, he must have known that each step he was taking him deeper and deeper into a one-way path that would just end up with him getting arrested and being put to death. So Jesus did not come to Jerusalem to lead a military revolution. I mean, the idea of that is almost ridiculous with what we know now. So instead of sweeping into the city with a chariot and a horse, he came into that city on a very humble animal, a little donkey that his disciples had gotten for him. And that is a symbol of peace and humility. And he absolutely refused to lead a rebellion against the Roman authorities. And on top of that, not only did he refuse to do that, first thing he did when he got into town, he went to the temple. And man, did he ruffle some feathers there. He did not like what he saw. He saw money changers. He saw people selling, they did lousy stuff. They sold animals for sacrifice. He saw people making money in the church or the temple, and he threw them out. He got angry. He threw them out, and he tried to get it back to a holy house of prayer. So he spent the next few days preaching some of his most powerful lessons of his entire ministry. And many of his teachings were considered totally revolutionary at the time. He basically challenged all the old customs and laws. Man, did they have a lot of laws. They had a lot of rules they had to follow, and Jesus just ignored a whole lot of them. And that made people mad. He said, I have good news for you. Now you really only have to keep in mind 2 laws, and then you're going to be okay. He said, love God with all your heart and your mind, your soul and your strength. That was rule number 1. Keep your mind focused on the good. Number 2 is love your neighbor as yourself. And by the way, who do you think he meant as neighbor? Everybody. He invited everyone to the party, especially the poor, the ostracized, the downtrodden. I read this online and I loved it. Jesus was exclusively inclusive. So, back to Palm Sunday. Jesus' teachings didn't win him any friends among those chief priests and elders at the temple, and quite the opposite. His words undoubtedly fanned the flames that were already starting to grow. People started plotting against him. So during this week in Jerusalem, Jesus worked really hard during the day. He was addressing the crowds, going around teaching, sharing his message of hope and love. But at night, this is something I didn't even realize until this week. At night, Jesus didn't stay in Jerusalem. He left the city and he went to go stay with his friends in this beautiful little village outside the city walls called Bethany. And his friends were Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. I just love to imagine Jesus after a hard day's work, going to Bethany and getting away from it all, eating dinner with his friends, enjoying quiet time in the garden, meditating, praying. He was taking that time for himself to find his center, to be still and connect with that infinite flow of divine source. He was practicing self-care. And with each passing day of that week, the movement against Jesus was growing. Tensions were rising. More and more people were turning against him because they were disappointed. He's not come to rescue them from the Romans. And on top of that, he's trashing all their rules. They got really, really mad. So he was even calling himself the Son of God. So Jesus knew what the reaction he was getting. He knew that was part of his path, and he knew that they were planning to bring him down. And he could have run away. He sure could have. He could have escaped, but he didn't. He chose to stay and keep teaching until the very end. On that 5th night, Jesus celebrated the Passover feast, what Christians call the Lord's Supper or the Last Supper. That was actually a Jewish Passover feast with his disciples. And later that evening, he did his usual routine. He started to go out to pray, but he didn't go all the way to Bethany that night. There was a path, and on that path was this beautiful garden called the Garden of Gethsemane. And he just didn't make it back to Bethany, but he stopped there. And this is the only time that this man that we have record of, and of course, you know, the people that wrote the Gospels weren't even alive at the time of Jesus, but it was just like the book of Mark was written 70 years after Jesus. So by then, you know, it's a few generations. You could probably still think there's historical validity what they said. At this time, Jesus, he went into that garden with a few of his disciples. He was in agony. He cried out to God. He wavered. This is the only time I know of that he wavered. Sometimes we put Jesus up on a pedestal. We don't even think of him as a human, but he was a living and breathing person. So he cried out to God and he said, is there any way, God? Is there any way you can take this cup away from me? But you know what he did then? He surrendered. He said, but it's your will, not my will. He surrendered to the divine. And he calmed himself down. He got reconnected to that lifeline of spirit. He remembered who he truly was. And he found his unwavering faith in his Father's will. Even in the face of betrayal, rejection, impending death, he found his path of resilience. And he found the strength to continue onward. And of course, later that night, he was arrested. And the next day, they had just a lousy trial. And he was sentenced to death. And that's the dreadful part of the story. We don't really need to talk about that. But through it all, Jesus practiced what he preached, staying firmly centered in his faith and connected to that divine flow of the Holy Spirit. He loved everyone, and he saw the divine in everyone, even in those enemies, even in those people, those soldiers at the end. And those people that were jeering him and mocking him in his moment of death, he prayed for God to forgive them because they don't understand what they're doing. Oof. So this slide was what I chose because it kind of reminded me of this journey that we go on in the night. And I'd like to move to my second slide now, please. This is like, we're going to get a little lighter now. We're going to transcend. That was about as dark as we're going to get. Is there a power? There, thank you. Okay. So we still got like that immense wilderness out there, but now we're going to feel our hearts and have hope and love. So let's turn away from those ancient times. No more Bible talk for now. And bring ourselves back into the present. Today I'm going to share with you stories about two people that I know and love who faced a dark night of the soul. And they managed to make their way back to the light. The first is a new friend of mine, and she is utterly delightful. Pretty much every single time I see her lately, I'm tired, I'm discouraged. She just lifts me up right out of that. She inspires me, and I think she's absolutely one of the most creative, resourceful, capable, loving, and fun people I have ever met. But a few years ago, before I met my friend, this was not the case for her. She had fallen into a very deep, dark, heavy depression. And in fact, during that depression, she entirely lost the will to live. She came really close to leaving our planet here. And when you see her now, you would never guess that she had been through such a harrowing experience. She is the perfect example of resilience. So I thought, I'm going to ask her how she did it, how she got through that low point in her life. And I did. And here's what she said. First of all, she asked for help. She did not do this alone. She did get help of a therapist, and her family is amazing. But in those darkest days, she just tried to have small, little, tiny goals. Just get out of bed and get in the shower. That's my goal for the day. And if she could achieve that, she could commit to that one step. Just show up to that shower and step in that shower. That's huge in and of itself. So she said, if you're happening to go through that deep, dark depression, get back to those super simple basics, very small goals. Secondly, she realized something. She had a moment of awareness that she was just putting a ton of pressure on herself. She was thinking all about what she should be doing, how she should be behaving, what she should be accomplishing, rather than seeing and loving herself as she actually was. So she started that journey of letting go of the shoulds. She just let go of the attachment to outcome. She let go of expectations, social demands. As long as she had that freedom to show up as she authentically was, she started to feel better. The third thing that really helped her was something that I wish I had created a PowerPoint slide for, and I'll do better in the future, but I'm just going to draw it in the air and hope that you can see it. This is the idea of wise mind. Now, to imagine this, imagine two circles, okay? On this side, we have the rational, reasonable mind, the analytical part of us. Now, my friend imagines this side as the goddess of protection and wisdom and healing. That's beautiful. And now, on this other side is the circle of the emotional mind, also very important, where all your feelings are in control. And she imagines this side as a little child, innocent but very emotional and very reactive. Now, these two circles are going to overlap. And the part where they overlap in the middle, that's called the wise mind. And that's what we all want, this balance between the rational and the emotional. She imagines this little scene here in the wise mind part. She imagines that beautiful goddess meeting the child in a loving embrace, saying something comforting like, I know this is hard. I know it's overwhelming. I'm sorry you're feeling this, and I know you're doing your best you can right here, right now. And so when she's having these troubles, she goes back to the idea of wise mind, and she finds her balance. And last but not least, my friend decided to rewrite her story to empower herself, to move from what Unity calls victim consciousness, to feeling like she's a victim, to being victor conscious, which is like being a warrior, going out and saying, I can create my reality. So working really closely with her therapist and her family and friends, these steps helped bring my friend back from the brink. And I am so happy to say that now she is totally rocking it. And she is using her experiences to help other people, which is beautiful. So my next story is about a friend I've had for several years who's been a very, very big, important part of my life. When this friend was 12 years old, his whole world changed about as radically as you can imagine. Even though he was like an experienced bicyclist, he had lived in LA and had paper routes in LA. He could negotiate LA traffic. When he moved to Oregon, I don't know if he let his guard down or actually it was just a lousy circumstance he was in. He was on his paper route, this 12-year-old boy, and he goes to cross the road. And there's a nice guy who's like stopped for him and said, come on across. Well, unfortunately, there was a car full of these distracted teenagers coming the other way that nobody saw, and they were going super fast, like 70 miles an hour, just crazy fast. And they didn't see him till they were right there. He got hit by that car going 70 miles an hour, threw him 33 feet in the air. He should have died by all rational accounts. You know, it's like a miracle that he survived. And it took 2 orthopedic surgeons and 1 neurosurgeon working all night long to save his life. He was told he was never going to walk again, but that didn't really settle into his consciousness. He spent 5 months. Can you imagine being a 12-year-old boy? You're like successful in school, you're athletic, you're at the top of your game, boom, 5 months in the hospital. And at the time of the accident, he weighed 105 pounds, but by the time he got out of that hospital, he was down to 55 pounds. He was skin and bones. So not only did his whole life change, but you know, kids can be really mean at that age. So they a lot of the kids, they were just thought he was a freak, and they were not supportive, to put it, you know, nicely. So it was hard in many, many ways. So he went home after 5 months to his parents' house, and he had a hospital bed in the living room, a hospital bed. You know, kind of like at the end of life, how people have when they're in hospice. A lot of times that's how this young man had to be. But he was determined to walk again. It took a long, long time. And when he finally did even stand up, it was horrendously painful. So he went to using a wheelchair and then crutches. When he finally took that first step without crutches, it was amazing. His physical injuries started to heal. But what about the emotional and psychological injuries They were actually more difficult to overcome. My friends would like to share with you, it can take decades to recover if you suffered a trauma like that. He spent years haunted by the thought of how would his life have been different if that had never happened, about what had been taken away from him. And the PTSD was awful. But he was blessed, though. He had a couple of angels come into his life. One was like a friend and a mentor. It kind of reminded him of his wholeness and that he was a worthwhile human being. And the second one is his wife. And she's an angel in every way, shape, and form. And together, they've kind of moved forward on this journey. And my friend has been restored to wholeness. So finally, there was like one pivotal moment. And it was 50 years after the accident, 50 years later, he was walking on the beach. I guess it was time for him to let go of things. And a question just occurred to him. What was the gift in my accident? Now, for the last 50 years, that would have been a stupid question, ridiculous question he could not even think of. But finally, he got to that point where he could ask, what was the gift? And here are the two answers that came to him. First of all, life is ephemeral. At any moment, any of us can be killed or die, boom, without even knowing it. He came that close to being gone, would never have even known what hit him. And that changed his perspective on life and how he saw things. Everything had a different kind of value to it after that. And the second gift was all that pain and suffering that he went through caused him to be able to feel really deeply. And now he can in turn share compassion with other people that are going through similar difficulties. So if you have gone through a trauma, maybe not even that dramatic of a trauma, hopefully, but any trauma, it's okay if it takes a long time before you're ready. But consider keeping that question in your back pocket. Like, have it ready. What is the gift in this? Even if you don't have any intention of using that question for years and years and years, just keep it there. Because one day you might be ready. And then maybe your healing can come and you can find your truth. And that process will help release you from the pain. To let go of those questions like, what if this hadn't happened? And to find the blessing. So in conclusion of this talk, I'd just like to throw in my own 2 cents about resilience. Now, this is not from some big trauma. This is more your day-to-day, going crazy with too much to do, or you're stressed out, or you're upset, or just overwhelmed, or just exhausted. And my approach may seem overly simple, but it really, really works for me. And I shouldn't say my approach, because I listen to a lot of different teachers. This particular part I'm about to share with you is probably influenced the most by Abraham Hicks. First of all, I have to ask you guys a question. When you have a problem, if you're not feeling well, do you have that little voice in your mind? You're like building up your arguments. Well, this person did this, and this is wrong, and that wasn't fair, and I wish I should have said this, and you're just over and over and over fixating on it. Well, if that inner dialogue is running over that story again and again and again, here's what I've learned. Stop. Just stop. Don't push on that problem anymore. You will never find the solution by thinking about the problem. Think instead about what you want to happen. So if you're mad at somebody treated you a certain way, instead of fixating on that, imagine how you would like your relationship with that person to be. If your health is suffering, imagine yourself in beautiful, perfect health. Do not feed the fire of the problem. So every time you start to go down that rabbit hole, just stop and replace the negative thoughts with something positive. Dream of the solution. And another thing you can do is just turn your attention away for a little while. Put it on pause. Like if you just can't let go of the problem, just put it on pause and do something, anything that lights that spark in you again. Anything that brings you a tiny smile or a little bit of joy. Like for me, if I'm like under a lot of pressure and I have so much to do and there's no way I can get it done. And sometimes I think, I got to do this and this and this. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I go outside and I like work in the garden, or I just go on a walk, it's like a magic cure. And that it like stops the burnout and it rejuvenates you. And another thing you could do to hit that reset button is just take a nap. Naps are awesome, even if it's just a short little nap. But if a nap is not in the cards for you, which I know is hard to do that, try just going away for a moment, sit yourself down, get centered, and meditate. Now, some people meditate really easily. Other people swear they cannot meditate. Here's a new, maybe it's new to you. It was new to me, a new thing to do. When you're trying to meditate, quit trying so hard. And focus on a sound. You need a really boring sound, like the sound of the air conditioner. And let's say you don't have air conditioning, that's okay. They have apps. They really do have apps, like in Google Play and Amazon and Apple Store, that are air conditioning sound. Normally, I hate the air conditioning sound. I like open windows, but for meditation, this works. So you can put on that app, and you just sit yourself down, get comfortable, and you breathe, and you focus on the sound of that air conditioner. And before you know it, you're going to be connecting yourself to source energy. You're going to be tapped into your own spiritual generator. Your channels will be open. And the solutions, after you get out of that, the solutions are just going to start coming to you. So today, I wish for you that your path be filled with beauty and peace. And when your path is not filled with beauty and peace, may you be divinely resilient. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Laura for sharing your journey with us. It was beautiful. And that awesome song sung by Catherine, we really, really love that. This is a time in our service where we gather our offerings with gratitude, thinking of all the many blessings in our life. And all of us here in leadership at Unity want you to know how deeply grateful we are for your contributions, for your donations, for the simple giving, and for the many ways that you serve in your volunteer spirit. With increased inflation, everything has gone up. Our church cost expenses have increased. But we are so grateful that your loving presence has always been, and we know always will be, there to support us. So now let's join together in speaking our offering affirmation. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love, and I trust God.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change all I can, and the wisdom, yes, the wisdom to know the difference. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change all I can, and the wisdom, yes, the wisdom to know the difference. Serenity, courage, wisdom serenity, courage, wisdom to know the difference. 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 The wisdom, yes, the wisdom. The wisdom to know the difference. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change all I can, and the wisdom, yes, the wisdom to know the difference, the wisdom to know the difference. God grant me serenity, serenity. God grant me
Gosh, that was wonderful. Thank you so much. We all love that prayer. To hear it sung with such grace and beauty, it was truly magnificent. Thank you to the music team, to Laura, all of our beautiful contributors to our Sunday service, our greeters, our ushers, people in the videos, our teachers, our beautiful food preparers. Gina puts together our programs and slides. Thank you all so much for your beautiful service. Let's join our hearts together now as we bless this offering, sharing the abundance of our love, our grace, our prosperity, knowing that with God all things are possible, and indeed all things are miraculous. Bless this offering. Bless the hands that prepared it. May it go forth into the world to bless the one and the many. We ask this in the name of all that is holy. Amen. And before we close this morning, I thought you all would like to know something. And that is, tomorrow is our beloved Laura Dubois' birthday.
Birthday too.
Who?
Mike Tickner.
Michael Tickner. Where are you, Michael? So let's end today with a rousing happy birthday. And we have a perfect person to lead us at the piano. Birthday.
Whose birthday is nearby, we just hold you in that blessing as we rise together now, sing our song of peace, sharing the light and love and peace of this beautiful spiritual community, which includes everyone in our hearts, all beings, all life everywhere. We hold them now as we shine this truth out. Let there be peace.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous smile. To take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. One light shines through us, one love enfolds us, one power protects us, one presence holds us, forever and ever, forever and ever, wherever we are. God
Thank you.